and stealing third, which was amazing.
Again, so going back to Plawecki, I think I think what it is he's nervous whenever he gets called up, first gets called up. So maybe he's not good playing under a whole lot of pressure. He's always scared maybe he's gonna get sent down, or I don't know. Maybe he's nervous, he won't make the playoff roster. So maybe he's not good under pressure, and if that's the case, then probably a no-go for the postseason.
Yeah. Well, he's a young guy. Plawecki's a young guy. Let's not forget. He was only ever called up because of the injury to Darno. Recker was always supposed to be the backup catcher. So the fact that Plawecki's been able to survive at this level means, that he probably has a good future, but maybe it's just not right now.
And which also, in the future, who would the Mets keep? Plawecki is a top prospect. He has a ton of potential. So do the Mets want to keep him, or do the Mets want to go with Darno? Now, Darno offers more on the table, more reward, probably better prospect than Plawecki was, but the thing is, keeping Darno would have, they're saying he's going to be injury riddled, he's going to get injured easily, so will you keep Plawecki there as a backup, or do you trade Darno away?
Well, I think it's still early. Both these guys, you don't know what you're going to get at the end. But I do know that for the teams that go on ultimately to win the World Series, I think the catching position is one of the most underrated positions. If you look at the great teams, the Cardinals with Yadier Molina behind the plate, Russell Martin, Ivan Rodriguez, Buster Posey. You got to have a good catcher behind there. Otherwise, it's hard to go all the way. So, can Travis d'Arnaud be that guy? He looks like the complete package. I think he can definitely be that guy. Plawecki, he's still young, so I don't think we have to make a decision. But hopefully d'Arnaud will be the guy.
Looking back at it, though, what about the 2013 Boston Red Sox with Jared Saltalamacchia and David Ross behind the plate? In fact, David Ross started more games behind the plate than Jared Saltalamacchia, the starter in the World Series, mainly because he was so good with his pitching staff, which is another key factor for catchers. So, they weren't, David Ross.
Well, all the guys I mentioned are also known for handling pitching staff well. So you've got a few elements. You've got your arm. You got to stop the opponent's running game. You have to be able to handle the pitchers well, and you have to be able to stop balls behind the plate so that they don't get away. A lot of pressure in the playoffs. One pass ball can make the difference between winning and losing the game. So, really important to have a good defensive catcher behind the plate.
So, well, let's look at all the contending teams right now and see who their catchers are. So the Mets have d'Arnaud. The Cardinals have Molina. They've clinched their playoff berth today, the first one of all the teams. Mm-hmm. The Rangers, they have Robinson Chirinos, who's not that great a catcher.
Okay. Rangers aren't a great team though. The Rangers have like a negative run differential of something like -13. It's amazing that they're still.
They're leading the AL West.
Yeah. So how about what are the other teams? How about the Dodgers?
The Dodgers have Yasmani Grandal. He was an all-star. Mm-hmm. Except I think pitchers in the Padres, he was famous for pitchers not wanting him to catch them because he wasn't that great handling the pitching staff. I think, but Dodgers have a great game caller in A.J. Ellis. Seems like pitchers all love him.
Mm-hmm. So they'll probably start him.
So I was reading this article, I think, the other day, was who are the best pitch callers in the game, and A.J. Ellis is right there with Buster Posey and Yadier Molina.
Really? Okay, interesting. So how about the Cubs?
They have David Ross and Miguel Montero.
And, of course, our favorite prospect, Kyle Schwarber.
Nah, he's not going to catch in the postseason.
Yeah. Okay, how about the Pirates?
The Pirates have one of the most underrated catchers in the game, I think. What's his name?
He's so underrated, you don't even know.
Francisco Cervelli. That's it. Francisco Cervelli. He's one of the most underrated catchers in the game. He's actually produced at the same amount, same pace. In fact, maybe even better than Russell Martin has with the Blue Jays. And again, he's also a really good game caller. Pitchers like him a lot.
And okay, go to the American League. The Yankees have Brian McCann, of course, who used to be with the Braves, and McCann had a tough time at first with the Yankees, but I think he's really hit his stride. He's leading all major league catchers now in home runs. He hit another one today off of Syndergaard, which really put the nail in the coffin for the Mets today. 3-1 count, pitchers count, and Syndergaard creased him one right down the middle again, and McCann didn't miss it, 2-run shot. So that was really the difference in the game today. If you didn't watch it, pitch to Beltran, fastball down the middle, and a pitch to McCann. Both of those went out, and that was it.
So, yeah. Who else? Let's see. The Astros don't really have that great catchers behind the plate. They have Jason Castro and Hank. Who's that Korean guy? The backup catcher is Hank Conger. So.
Okay, but they're sinking fast, the Astros. So they're clinging on to the wild card spot. Last I checked, they're about a game and a half in the lead for the second wild card spot.
And then the Royals, of course, have one of the best catchers in the game in Salvador Perez.
He's like one of the hugest catchers too. How big is he, Jamie? He must be like 6'3". And how about the Toronto Blue Jays?
The Blue Jays have Russell Martin, of course, one of the best catchers in the game ever.
Yep.
And then the Indians, also contenders this year. Don't forget, they're right in there with the mix with other teams. They have Yan Gomes behind the plate, who, I think he's a better offensive catcher than defensive, but still passable catcher. The Indians pitching staff has done great this year, which has pretty much kept them in contention the whole way through.
I just thought of something, Jamie. Syndergaard and d'Arnaud got traded together by the Jays, and yet Syndergaard prefers to get caught by Plawecki, not by d'Arnaud.
Yes, interesting. Yeah. But d'Arnaud was always ahead of Syndergaard.
Right.
d'Arnaud's like a lot older than Syndergaard. So Syndergaard, in the minors, when d'Arnaud was called up, he was with Plawecki. I think the two of them got to know each other well.
Right.
It's just like Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum likes Hector Sanchez. And in case those of you don't know, Tim Lincecum prefers Hector Sanchez to catch him, and Hector Sanchez, I think, caught one of his no-hitters. Posey caught the other. The surprising thing is, also the Twins. They're also in contention.
Who's catches for the Twins?
Kurt Suzuki.
Oh, okay. He's kind of a league average catcher, I think, right? Not a bad. He's defensive catcher.
He was an all-star a season ago. He's not done that great this season though. The surprising thing is Oakland is doing so bad, yet their run differential is only -3. They're actually one of the most unluckiest teams this year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Especially Ben Zobrist, who's like the big piece that Billy Beane got for them, had a terrible month with them, and now he's traded and he's having a great second half of the season after the trade.
I think so. The A's, their bullpen has not been that great again. How important is the bullpen in postseason? Look at the Royals last year, Game 7 of the World Series. Took the Giants all the way, dangerous Giants.
Well, I think that's going to be the Dodgers' Achilles heel, isn't it? Their bullpen. So that's hopefully where we can get to them. So during this amazing string of victories that the Mets had, this 8-game win streak, they had a series of 7 games in a row, Jamie, where they scored 3 or more runs after the 7th inning, and they came back almost every single game to win.
Yeah.
So that they're beating up on the bullpens.
I think just looking at the game, total team run differential right now, most of the teams on the top, I'd say top 15, the Rangers are 17th on the list, -9, but they're leading the AL West. But most of the top guys are contenders. The notable ones that aren't are the Giants, who have a good record. Just the National League, the two central teams are just too strong in the wild card, and the Dodgers are just ahead of them. But they're 6 on the list. They aren't contending though. They're only 2 back of the Dodgers, which says something of their sort of I don't know if it's, you say consistency or inconsistency. The Nationals are also top 10. They're one behind the Mets. They they of course they're 77 and 71 right now, so not not the worst, but not the greatest. Of course, not as good as guys had them at the beginning of the season. Power rankings had them. Who else? The Orioles have also had a really good season. Um,
Well, until recently,
until
they've fallen
recently,
in
yeah.
bed now.
Um,
I think they've
who else?
lost like 10 games
The
in a row.
Diamondbacks don't actually have a 10 plus minus run differential, which means that the Diamondbacks have not. They've actually overachieved this season. A lot of people have not expected them to. They're doing well this season. I think they have a bright future. They have AJ Pollock and Paul Goldschmidt, two great guys they can build around. Yasmani Thomas.
Hmm.
They have young guys, David Peralta.
Hmm.
I think it's just their starting rotation. Again, the starting rotation, they have good young guys, and then they have Archie Bradley,
Hmm.
Robbie Ray, a bunch of other guys that'll help them in the future.
Looking at the team run differential data, this is pretty interesting, huh? The Toronto Blue Jays by far have the best run differential in the majors. Their run differential is 215. That means they've scored 215 more runs than they've allowed.
And then next on the list are the Cardinals at 113. That should give you a
Yeah,
good glimpse of.
it's almost double, and yet the Cardinals, sit there with a 63% win percentage. Blue Jays are not bad; they're at 57.8, but it goes to show you that run differential doesn't tell you necessarily the whole story. Of course, Toronto's got one of the most potent offenses, or probably the most potent offense in the majors. In fact, if you look at their runs scored, they've scored 812, which is ahead of the second place team by over 100. The Yankees are second with 704. So they've got Josh Donaldson, Encarnacion, um, Batista, and Troy Tulowitzki. I mean, those are like four of the best hitters in the game.
Of course, Tulowitzki is out now. We'll see what kind of impact that does. Again, the surprising thing is the Red Sox beating the Blue Jays have actually helped out their big rivals, the Yankees.
How are you feeling about that, Jamie?
I don't know, mixed feelings.
Well, so you could say the Texas Rangers, based on run differential, have been the luckiest team this year. They're actually -9. I thought they were -13, but they're only -9. They've scored 9 fewer runs than their opponents, but their winning percentage is 53.7%, and they're sitting in first place now in the AL West.
I think what's happened is when they've won by a small margin. When they've lost by a big margin. Their pitching rotation has been a lot better as of recently. Back when the season started, no one expected them to contend. They weren't contenders until really just a month ago.
I think it was the Cole Hamels trade.
I think part of it, but I think it was a lot of guys coming back from injuries, and everyone sort of just coming together, heating up at the same time.
Okay, so are you worried now about the Mets, Jamie? We've lost 3 or 4. We lost 2 against the Marlins. They were the last team to beat us before the win streak we went on. We seem to have problems against the Marlins. The Nationals also seem to have problems against the Marlins. But they did beat the Marlins in an 11-inning game, which was pretty exciting. But, of course, that didn't help us. But now we've split games with the Yankees. We have one more tomorrow. And the Nationals just keep winning. So what do you think?
Looking at the upcoming schedules to factor in, it may be a little bit of worrying. But the thing is, the Mets and Nationals both have really easy schedules. They're playing similar teams. The upcoming schedule for the Mets, they have 3 games against the Braves at home after this. And then they go on the road against the Reds. Pretty easy team, hopefully. Although contending teams, especially the fellow NL Central teams, have not done good against the Reds. So we'll see how the Mets do. But, last season when the Mets were at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, it was like home run derby, remember? Every ball was just whacked out of the ballpark. We'll see how that comes into play later. And then after that, they go to Philadelphia to play the Phillies. So hopefully they'll win some games there. And then to end the season, it's a 3-game series against the Nationals.
Yeah, that's the worrying thing because because the Nationals have that 3-game series at the end. If we're going in to that with an only a